rising, voices rising, stories told, truth unfolding, brave and bold. In this space we speak our mind, different views all intertwined. It's the big conversation where the real ones talk. From the heart of the nation we all take our walk.
Feel the fire! Hey! Woo-hoo. Happy New Year! Hello and welcome to The Big Conversation. I'm your host, Runke Giwa Onafuwa. For decades, we've been told something powerful and important. Educate a girl and you empower a nation. And to a large extent, that is true. I mean, more girls are going to school. More women are earning degrees. More women are entering professional spaces. But today we must ask a more uncomfortable question. If education is the key to empowerment, why are so many educated women still limited? Why do some women have degrees but not decisions? Why are some highly educated women still unable to choose their own path, speak freely, or fully control their lives? So today, we go beyond the classroom to ask, is education enough to truly empower a woman? Welcome back. It's still The Big Conversation. Now, education gives knowledge, we know. It opens doors, it builds confidence, but empowerment is something more. Empowerment is about agency, choice, freedom, and the ability to act on what you know. And in many cases, those things are still, shaped by cultural expectations, family pressure, economic realities, and societal norms. So today, we'll be exploring the gap and asking the questions that matter. Welcome to The Big Conversation. And ladies, I want to know what your idea of empowerment really is. Because, just from our headlines, we talked about how education is key. We know that. And I'm glad that, a lot more people are speaking up about it. Yes. Back in days in homes where they would say, oh, girls should not even be educated. Yes. Now, even daddies, men are realizing the impact of educating your girls. But it's seeming now as if, some people just think, when I get educated, that's it. And it's supposed to be my gateway.
It can be the gateway.
Okay, but is it enough?
So you need to add other things to it too. But education is going to, like I read something that someone said that education will put your feet at the door. It will not take you in, but at least it may take you from trenches. I know someone that I sent to school to study and say, and I remember I told him, he's not doing his degree. I told him that at least you are very smart. You may not be able to say that I have NC, I want to be doing bricklaying job, if you know what you are doing. So
but there are lots of people. If you go on TikTok, I just saw this lady who, I think she said she even studied biochemistry.
But that's why I said that.
The job that she's doing.
That beyond education, right? Beyond getting that education, you need to add other things to it, which is what a lot of people do not have. Yeah. Yes, because we should not make it look like, oh, education is, so what's the essence of this education that all the things I went through? But you notice that they don't have employability skills. They don't have what it takes, to get ahead in life. Beyond education, you need to have other skills.
Absolutely. How about you, Abigail?
I think empowerment itself is giving someone freedom, control, autonomy to make decisions for yourself, free from societal, cultural, or economic constraints. Now, education itself, it's an intricate part of empowerment. Education is crucial, but it's not the only tool necessary for empowering a woman. There are so many. Empowerment is multifaceted, and it's a combination of different things to make someone fully empowered. It's like trying to make a goosey soup. In order to make a goosey soup, you need one very important ingredient, which is a goosey seed itself. But a goosey soup is not completely a goosey soup without other ingredients.
Right.
You have to have other things to support the making of that soup for it to be a full, good egusi soup. That's the same way with empowerment. Education is very important. It is key, but it is not the only resource that a woman needs. She needs other kind of empowerment. Financial literacy is some kind of empowerment. She needs economic empowerment, societal support, visibility and representation. These are the things that are all important. They are important ingredients that makes up a holistic empowered woman. So education is not the only thing. It is important, but you have other factors to to consider.
Right. I want to explore more what you were saying, Funola, about how, you know, I mean, beyond, and you've touched on that as well, because I mean, these days we have social media where people feel empowerment. What do we discuss? People often sometimes confuse education to mean that someone is empowered. But what would translate to someone being empowered even when they're educated? What would translate to that? To someone not being empowered even though they're educated?
Maybe they lack, you know, the resources, you know. If you are educated, opportunities, yes. If you are educated and you are not exposed, you know. But I feel that education should help you, you know, to navigate these challenges in life, right? Maybe because my parents were educated, but let's assume that my parents were not educated. The kind of education that I, you know, got. I'm going to use my university as an example. Right. So, we had a lecturer when we were in final year. That lecturer was one of the best things that I believe, you know, really happened to us. So we were young, but he went beyond the normal teaching to teach us so many things. I studied French. So it was one that said that this French that you studied, if you are not careful, you may end up becoming a teacher. Because what do you need to do? So you now discover that 90% of my classmates are top flyers. Do you get it? Because this man really opened our eyes. It was teaching us things, yes, to see opportunities. You know, I had friends who got job with German embassies, the embassy, you know, German companies. Do you get it? I have a friend who is now the head of branding or brand communication in Union Bank and all that, you know. So it was not that opened our eyes, you know, to see you can diversify into HR, you can go into brand communication, you can go into communication. So education, a well-rounded education should be liberating. So for a woman, I feel that education would empower you to take decisions that can affect you. So a woman that has basic, you know, SSE, is different from someone that did not go to, or should be different from someone that did not go to school at all. And you can make decisions that say that I don't want to have 10 children. Or more burial, education is what should make you to, and that is one of the things that is happening in the North. Because girl children are not being educated. And that is why, you know, that's the root cause.
Yeah.
Because if you're a woman, an educated woman, right, you will be able to take, you will not want your children to be doing, you know, almajiri.
Yes. So how come we still see educated women who cannot make informed decisions? Because I think there's also the place of applying yourself.
Yes.
Which, you know, your parents, and that's, a lot of us, our parents just said, the best I can do is give you a good education.
Yes. Well,
like,
after that, you're on your own. You know, so we grew up hearing that.
Navigating lives on our own.
Yeah, so what is the place of applying yourself? Your parents have given you the best.
I actually feel
unlike
that
us now, when we are giving our children extracurricular, they must do chess, they must do. Our parents didn't have time for all of that. The best they can do. In fact, they told me, if you don't pass JAM, I'm not going to beg anybody. So you better do the best you can do so that it's minimal begging. If you're going to beg, it's not that I'm going to come and start going to look for one registrar. Do the best you can do so that at least it is something we can work with.
Honestly, I think we should actually cut the women who are educated and are not applying it the way we want some slack. Because if you see how society where women are not educated, where women are relegated to the background, if you see, I'm going to use Southeast and the North as an example. Southeast has higher number of women literacy, right, compared to the North.
Southeast, really?
Yes.
Wow. Oh, and compared to the North.
Compared to the North. If I compare to the Southwest, yes, women literacy, the basic, if a state like Imo has like about 90% literacy, you know, so unlike there are some states in the southeast that are not, you know, but in the Southeast, the women literacy, and like I said, that means the children that those women, even if the basic that you have, it doesn't have to be about you alone, right? About the society in general. So the basic, you will not see your children becoming beggars. You may be,
except in the rarest and the most unfortunate situation.
So you may be able to say that, let me go and do family planning. If you are educated.
Yes.
You may be able to say that. In fact, you can be on TikTok and come across, you know, information that will change your life.
Yes.
So at least you are a blank canvas. Unlike someone that is not educated, yes, that cannot read or write.
I believe it still solely depends on the individual,
right?
Itself.
Yes,
Because I've seen time and time again, women are educated, but there's still this strong force that pulls
barriers,
them back.
That's why we
yes.
cultural women
biases.
supporting women, you know.
Absolutely. There are so many things that restricts a woman. She doesn't have visibility, but she's educated. She does not have a voice.
There are still beliefs that
she
tell
still
her,
believes that
no matter how, even if you have PhD.
I'm telling you, there's some mentality that cannot be erased just with education alone. So that's why I said it really depends on the individual. For you to be intentional with yourself, you know that you are educated, but you still have factors that are limiting you. So how can you become better? Put yourself, learn to have a voice, learn to speak for yourself, learn financial literacy. My God, that's your superpower. You can be educated and be a Dundee when it comes to financial decisions. So these are the things you have to pay attention to.
I want to take that because there are lots of young girls now that I just see, and you talk about it a lot, Funola, about how, especially social media has made us see how so many people are sheeps. They're educated, they've gone to school, but even when you talk to some graduates, it feels like, I guess, what's the thing we call thinking? When we, critical thinking is not something, I don't know, I guess it's not something that is taught in schools, you know. So, I mean, and social media has exposed how even the most educated people, they see something and they just believe it. There's no, okay, can I investigate it? Can I take it with a pinch of salt? How can I, what are the questions, what the whys, and all of that we can think about, you know. So that has exposed how the much education is not enough because we see it. And so what would you say is the reason for someone, I mean, I don't know if it's that social media is also dulling us down.
It is though.
Okay.
I mean, yes, because I see
young girls
people
that
have
just,
so much information on their
at
palm.
their fingertips.
Yes, and they cannot, you know, they cannot say that, let me check, if I see something, I need to, you know, let me check if that's just random thing, you know, like, okay, so this thing is called agree. I can Google agree, read more about it, you know, so that you are able to speak confidently. I said I saw someone, this person is based in Canada, and he thought it was taunting Tinubu when Tinubu said one of the reasons for crisis in Nigeria is climate change.
One of the reasons.
Yes, one of the reasons, you know, is climate change. And this person thought it was taunting. And I'm like, is it that people don't read? Or because this thing has said, they've done tons of researches, you know, about how climate change is affecting, not only in Nigeria, it's affecting a lot of things, you know, water resources, so many things, land, you know, other resources. And not thought, so education is not enough. People need to also apply, you know, but beyond what they are taught in school, you may not be taught that in school. It has to be a continuous thing. You should be a lifelong learner.
Honestly,
yes.
Be self-aware enough to know that you need some things and you have to work.
And I think empowering, especially girls, because I mean, we're just rounding off International Women's Month. And thank God we've gone a long way from the, no matter even have a PhD, you end up in the kitchen. I think the mindset is changing.
It is.
So people are now becoming more aware, especially with the Japa. Men and women are going there, realizing that your wife is not going to do everything. Unfortunately, you have to wash plates. Daddy, you got to wash plates. You know, so we've come a long way, but there's still a lot more, especially even with our men. There's still a lot of allyship that we need, even from men, that will empower. I know that oftentimes we have this, you know, girls by ourselves, for ourselves, but I think there's a lot of allyship that we require even for men that can empower women. There's still a lot of boys club, even in our careers. There's still a lot of boys club mentality. In politics, there's still a lot of boys club mentality. So when we talk about empowering girls and empowering women, there's still a lot in the hands of men, I think, and it comes from even empowering men to become more exposed to seeing the power that women, you know, can have when we bring them into things.
So I saw a tweet last week that women were not, you know, being funded. Women VCs were not adequately funded. Yes,
vice chancellors.
No, venture capital.
I see. Okay.
That they were not being adequately funded. And someone asked a question that, okay, so is there a particular, you know, fund backing men? Do you get it?
Yes.
I still believe that if you're a woman, you want to go into politics, you want to go into business, you want to do what men, you know, are doing to get ahead too. We have seen examples of women, you know, who, so it means that you may not be an average, you know, feminine woman, so you'll be seen as Margaret Thatcher.
And beyond that, I think it's also easier said than done. Look at what Natasha has not even done. Wait, no, wait. We have to bring. No, look at how they called her. She was dating this guy. Do you know how many guys, Mr. House whatever has?
You cannot use.
If you're saying we should play the games that men play. So if you play the games that men play, women at the end of the day that still end up
use someone
burnt.
else. You can use someone else. You can use someone else. There are other senators in the,
Who has that? How many?
Yeah, I can mention. I'm sure you don't.
I don't want this to be I don't want this to be a political conversation.
Use someone else.
We both know that the scale is still very much. So is it because you are saying women don't play the games that men play is why they are not as visible in the political space?
So nobody will drop. Even men, things don't drop on their laps.
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm a man or because I'm from somewhere.
Yeah, but we can't be naive about the fact that it's been a long. Women are just coming out.
Yeah.
Women are just coming out, so you cannot expect it to be as easy. So it's like a language. You are going to a new country. You are just learning the language. So
you
it's
should not
so
now.
Not be.
You should not now make it. A gender war.
Yeah.
Yes, don't make it a gender war.
So that's what I'm saying. Men need to also.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Men.
war.
We have to bring. It has to be a men and male and female. Just like what the venture capital you talked about now. You cannot gainsay that men have more money. In the way if you're talking about money, we have more powerful men than
if we have
women now.
If we have powerful weight, if we have a product that cannot be denied in the market. That's what I'm saying. That cannot be denied in the market. Damian Loke owns Shotlands, right?
I just learned about it actually.
Yes, they're just backing her. You know what I mean? She's a woman. So if you have a good product, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You cannot say because I'm a woman and you do something that...
no, I don't. There are lots of women who are doing great things. I don't think they're asking to back them just because they're women.
That's why I kind of understand where
she's
coming from.
And recognized.
As a woman, you should also take authority.
Let me tell you, Natasha, that you are talking about, the things that I cannot even say it on. That woman is suffer than the way people are saying her. On social media. She won that election on the basis of her toughness.
Yeah, so why do you say we should not talk about
no, because I don't want to talk about what she's displaying now in the National Assembly. Because that is deceitful.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. My point is that even when we're talking about empowering women, even from the home, a father has to be exposed. Yes, men pay. If my husband decides that my children I cannot go, my husband is still the higher earner in my own home. Absolutely. So me, I can try to do shansgri, but at the end of the day, do you understand? We still have more men who are higher earners.
Oh, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. With the conversation bring to the table, I think it's Titi that talks about it all the time. It needs to be men and women. We need to even sometimes tokenize some women because we have more men who are. So some women you have to give just because let's balance it up a little bit. And I understand.
Actually, that's what that when we have more women, at the table, they can advocate for other women. So I remember that somewhere, they were doing something, and because a woman was at the table and said that no, you cannot, out of the three, you cannot just say two women. You cannot say, you want to give three women or something. So even if you cannot give them, up to what we want, at least give us like about 10.
Let me just come in here very quickly. So, like I said, I understand where you're coming from, that a woman should be tough on her own and take, follow the lead of the men, do the things, be audacious.
What they are doing.
Yes, be audacious enough. I get that, but I also understand her own point that it's our collective responsibility. We also need men to support this cause. We need culture to support. See, there's a lot of detoxification that needs to happen culturally for genders. Look at what happened in Ozoro. This is, I kept on repeating what I was saying. I think we had this conversation. Why don't we have festivals that lock men inside? Why is it that it's always the women? So that's the detoxification that we need. In order for a woman to be empowered, it's not just solely her duty. The men are involved. We need to support. The culture is there.
Absolutely.
We need to audit some
cultures. We're talking about big things. If you see a confident woman, trust me, her daddy or there's a father figure that has empowered her.
Or a mother figure.
Not just I'm telling you, mother figure is important. I'm telling you that if you see a lady that's confident, it's not just, if you see someone, most of the time, if it's just your mom that you have, most of the time you see that play out even in the way a lady does. Because maybe, she now doesn't like men, or she feels like, I can be a man. A lady doesn't have to be a man.
Yeah.
You are enough just being a lady.
Yes.
But when you see a lady that's been affirmed by her father, affirmed by a male figure, is different. So that's what I'm saying. For me, is this conversation shouldn't be. Yes.
Should start
if you
from
want to
all.
empower
So
a girl, men are also part of the
yes,
conversation.
I believe you. Let it start from their children,
Yes.
So because an assertive, don't even have to be loud.
Yes.
You don't have to be noisemakers like us or with loud voice. But you should be assertive,
Yes.
Assertiveness is what will make you to say that, so because I'm a woman,
Thank you.
I don't want to take this shit, so yes. I agree. Men have to be part of this conversation. But I think that it's actually changing, right? I think that things are changing.
It's not moving at a fast pace.
Maybe
because it's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time.
Maybe, yes.
It's been a long time coming.
Maybe.
So I just feel like you just mentioned Ozora now. So there are many culture and beliefs that we still have. I mean, when you look at comment sections, when you think, hey, God. So all these fights that we're fighting, some people still think this way. I can't remember what it was that somebody posted, and I was looking at some of the men in the comment section, and for me, I just felt a little hopeless that, wow.
What comment?
I can't remember
That
what it was.
said that before I make you president, maybe I will vote or someone.
I can't even remember. That's true, So I can't remember, but it was just very toxic. And I was just like, wow, these are, even some women, because some women are sometimes the ones that hold back empowered women. Who do you think you are?
Yes.
Why you coming? All of us are here. We are subdued. We are whatever. And you want to come out of the, come out of the mold, So sometimes even as women, we're the biggest.
People also think that when you, as a woman, let me use example of something that happened in our area, so we have a resident association WhatsApp group, and they took a decision without telling anybody, some people just came and said that, we will stop black men, from staying in a particular place.
Oh, okay.
And I said, no, why should you take such a decision?
Who did you put into consideration before?
Yes. That's there. They are doing, there was a security. I said, if there was a security threat, put it on the WhatsApp group. We all know each other, you know. So you cannot say, I know that my husband felt embarrassed.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, that I was talking that way, right? But I told him, said that, so that they will not say you are
husband is a peace lover, exactly.
So that they will not say you. I said, no, please, this is not about Asheju. So the man had to call my husband. I said, my husband, my wife, likes things to be done properly. So it's not personal, but you should. Okay, so later the man has sent a voice note that now write my husband up. That was when he now called my husband for a truce. I said that, so let us, it's not because of anything, just help us beg your wife. But I was happy that, that I was able to speak out at that moment.
Yes.
Because you can, but some women, some other women,
yes,
who does she think she is? Yeah. Because if that was what angered my husband, the man sent a voice note, an older woman responded, and my husband was like,
an age thing now, so these are some of the things even though if it was a man, if it was your husband, I'm sure they would have treated you a bit more. Like, he's a man.
You see, I don't care. Really, I don't want to even respect him. You have to do the right thing. I'm sure that next time they will not, take such a decision without informing everyone.
Right. Now, if a woman is not, so somebody touched on it before about financial empowerment. It's so key. Look at what you're talking about, venture. If us women if there was a lot of power amongst women generally in the world, if the economy, I don't know what the percentage of the economy would you say. How many Florence or Lakijas do we have? So if we had more women who were more powerful, I'm not sure it would mean that such venture capitalists will still be supported, because we still have the issue of women don't support women. Yes. But financial literacy, there are women only VC, venture capitalists.
Yes. They are only focused on women, led startups.
Yes, that they support. They only support women. And that's amazing. That's amazing.
So there's a lady called, I can't remember the name of but I know those behind it,
Right.
There's one lady called Elo, whatever, and Tose Faniro,
So if a woman is not financially empowered, is she really empowered?
No.
Okay.
Even a man, if you are not financially empowered, if a woman is more empowered than you, they will respect that woman more than you. In most places.
All right, because I mean, our time is fast spent, but it's been such a layered conversation so far, which I feel like, I mean, there's still more to it than meets the eye. So, and I'm so glad that we're having it. I mean, because for as long as we can remember, we've told ourselves that, you know, just get educated and everything else will fall into place. Big fat lie. However, conversations like this shouldn't just end on this show, but should be, you know, had in homes to ensure that we're not just, you know, paying lip service to the idea of empowering women. So let's pause for a bit here and explore this conversation even more when we return for our agree or disagree segment. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now it's time for one of our favorite segments, agree or disagree. And I'll read out a statement and you will tell us where you stand and why. Yes, today's statement is already on the screen. Culture still determines how far an educated woman can go. All right, go on. Get in the comment section and tell us if you agree or disagree. Culture still determines how far an educated woman can go. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Yes, I agree.
All right, get in the comment. Culture still determines. No matter even if you have a PhD, culture still determines. Are you thinking about it? I think I want to be in the middle somewhat. Let me play devil's advocate and debate for. Yeah, you want to stay in the middle? Okay, let me. Funala is sure.
So yes,
culture
if you are
determines.
in a culture, or if you operate, or you are born in a culture where women are seen as second class citizens,
yes,
you will have to fight the battle of your life before you get ahead. Do you get it? For if you are, for example, you live in a place where they say that women, no matter how rich you are, you cannot own a car or you cannot own a property.
Yeah.
You have to fight, or you don't have the right to, even if your father was Darusha or your father was, you own no right to his, to inherit his property. So that's how culture, can be a barrier to how far, women can go. That means you have to fight that culture. There are some cultures that are very, very, very barbaric. You cannot, if as a woman, you are supposed to be seen, not heard.
Not heard.
Yes.
Hey, but if you are educated, I think that.
Yes, so it's the education that will make you to fight. You are fighting, you have to fight. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So if you don't have the fighting spirit,
you just keep quiet like
yes,
everybody
you just
else.
keep quiet, yes.
But that's why I think education is so, because education is like your eye is open now. So you can't undo it. So
you may not even be able to go beyond that.
Which is why I think a lot of cultures don't even want their girls to be educated. Because they know that once your eye, even in the north, a lot of northern girls are now speaking up about certain things.
So now, in fact, they can also give you that. We don't want you to go beyond becoming a teacher. A teacher and maybe a nurse. Do you know how long men have been practicing medicine, medical doctors, before women actually, join them. So they don't want you to even, be educated, but don't go beyond being a teacher, don't go beyond becoming a nurse. Why do you want to have a PhD?
Yeah. Well, I want to disagree, because I think that thankfully life has moved. So whatever culture, you are the one that will keep fighting to hold down your culture. Because that's why girls are pushing the envelope, even going out with our bras. I'm not saying it's right, deciding not to have children, deciding not to even get married. There's one thing that BBC did recently where this pilot lady and some ladies, they focused on ladies who had decided that, they're not having children. So you can still hold on to your culture. At the end of the day, when a woman is educated, because I feel like it's like tasting something, you cannot untaste it. So once you're educated to and we now realize that education is beyond even just going to school. Education is now also applying yourself, knowing your rights, knowing the laws, So I feel like I don't think culture can hold you back. If you are educated beyond even just the classrooms, you are now educated to the point that you know your rights, you know what is right and what is wrong. You can push the envelope so much that it is culture that will be dragging to even hold on to their own norms. You have decided that I'm not doing this, I don't care.
Liberated.
Absolutely, you are liberated, and there's nobody, once the door is open in your mind, nobody can shut it. That's what I think.
I also disagree. I agree with what you said. It's a personal decision to either be hold down by culture or to be liberated. So I would say that culture sometimes can impact how your life ends up, but it depends on you. If you allow culture conform you and put you in a cage, then that's on you.
Yes, and which is why some girls leave home. They will leave certain and they'll go to Lagos. Because I know
you can remove yourself from where the culture has autonomy.
Absolutely.
You remove yourself and put yourself in a place where you can experience life fully and make something useful out of you. So culture impacts how people's life might form, but it doesn't determine the trajectory.
Right, absolutely. And that's why I think empowerment in all different forms is so important, especially as women now.
And people also need to read.
Very important.
Beyond, you know, being educated, reading liberates. Don't spend all your time, you know, don't scrolling on, you know, social media.
For some people, that's the idea of reading and educating themselves.
So I like TikTok. You see, I like TikTok. I love TikTok, right? If I'm going to start, you know, something in media production, I'll be short form videos about some of the things, you know, just get educated. So I like TikTok. In fact, there's an icon on TikTok called STEM. I'm sure that a lot of people do not even go to that STEM. Yes. If you have a child, you know, that you can get them to learn mathematics, you know, to learn physics or anything, STEM, you know. But I don't like the way people follow all the, you want to be on one blog,
rubbish.
you know, you want to,
loud.
They need to read, they need to, women need to read.
Absolutely.
Read, open up your mind, because it's not education that will tell you that you should be financially liberated. Yes. It is not schooling. They will not teach you.
They don't even teach it.
In fact, some of us, you now get burnt, you know, until you realize that, I need true liberation and salvation, you know.
Right, absolutely. And I think even as parents, I mean, how you show your children that you are empowered is what your children, because I mean, right now, even my daughter, she's taking things upon herself to have like a weekly family meeting. We have to watch a video about maybe financial, something that helps us, maybe investing.
Imagine.
I don't think I taught her that, but it's in the way we live our lives to ensure that you are always elevating and always getting better. You know, eventually your children will take up that mantle and want to also be better. When they see that you are always trying your means to be better, you are not just collecting money and saving it on National B. Your children see that you are making, you know, even little steps to be better. Your children too will take on that whatever, because I think that's what it's all about. That's what empowerment is all about. Not everybody's going to be for Lauren Shaw Lakija. But you know, being empowered enough to be self-aware, to have your own money, especially as a woman, to know that it's important to have your own money, important to have a voice. That really was more empowering than that.
And maybe they should include, you know, women education. They should or girl child education. They should include all those things, you know. Yes, so
having a voice, being confident, being able to walk in a room.
Kwara State government, you know, is giving out money to parents, you know, to bring their children to school.
Really? And I think that, because there are still some places where education is low, whereby by 14 they're already getting pregnant and deciding that, there are still communities like that, where by 14 they're all pregnant and they just think, oh, it's by, and then they have like different children for different men. You know, and the thing with those kind of things is obviously, it just holds you down. Even the wealthiest women, we know how children can hold you down even when you're wealthy. So not to talk of a girl that's 15, you know, still vulnerable. Exactly, you know, so those are things we need. Maybe the big conversation, we'll have a foundation where we go to such places, go and speak to such girls.
Yes, we should.
Go and speak to such girls, let them see, because there's also something about, and that's why we need to be visible as women.
Exactly.
So that girls like that will see the possibility.
They see the possibility, exactly.
Yes. Us women, because oftentimes women are always hiding themselves. A young girl needs to see the possibility in you, and that will empower her to know that, wow, Abigail, if she can do it, I can do it as well. So that's definitely.
If Abigail can lose weight, you too.
Yes, absolutely. If that young girl,
kg before too.
If that girl from Isaleko who lived in Isaleko and will always look down at veranda and look at, oh, can I ever get out of here and be somebody, be more than maybe what? Then you know you can do it too. That's what I'm always talking about. Her, that young girl from Isaleko, you know, who left to become more. You know, so we definitely need to do better there. So yes, thank you. So let's look at our wise words on the web, Abigail.
Okay, it says, knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise of progress.
Kofi Annan. Knowledge is, knowledge. Get knowledge, please. Inform yourself.
Know that getting.
Get understanding too. All right, yes, education can open doors, but the real question is, who decides whether a woman is allowed to walk through them? Because today's conversation reminds us of something important. A degree is powerful, yes. Knowledge is powerful, yes. But empowerment is more than what you know. It is about what you are allowed to do with what you know. And for many women, that gap still exists. The gap between education and opportunity, between knowledge and permission, between potential and reality. So perhaps the real work is not just in sending girls to school, but in building a world where their voices are heard, their choices are respected, and their ambitions are not negotiated away. You know, I mean, true empowerment is not just about access, it's about agency, the freedom to decide, the confidence to act, and the support to thrive. Thank you for being a part of today's show. We've had such a great time. Until next time, please keep questioning, keep reflecting, and most importantly, keep watching The Big Conversation.
Voices rising, stories told, truth unfolding, brave and bold. In this space we speak our mind, different views all intertwined. It's the big conversation where the real ones talk. From the heart of the nation we all take that walk. Through the fire, through the facts we don't hold back. It's the big, big conversation. Voices rising, stories told, truth unfolding, brave and bold. In this space we speak our mind, different views all intertwined. It's the big conversation where the real ones talk. From the heart